In this chapter, I'm going to describe the use of the built-in HTML web browser component that's a part of the Adobe Integrated Runtime. I described this component briefly in the AIR 1.0 Essential Training title. The Adobe Integrated Runtime includes a built-in web browser kernel based on WebKit, the same kernel that's used in the Safari web browser built by Apple. This browser component is capable of rendering and displaying complex HTML that incorporates cascading style sheets and complex JavaScript code. In fact, one of the most popular demonstrations you'll see of AIR applications is the use of Google Maps, one of the more complex and powerful AJAX-based applications on the market, rendered in the context of a desktop application. In this video, I'll show you how to use the basics of that HTML component, and then later in this chapter, I'll show you how to use some more advanced techniques. If you're following along with the exercises, to get started, you'll need to import a Flex project archive from the Exercises folder area. From the menu, select File, Import, Flex Project. Click the Browse button next to Archive File. Go to your Exercises area, which is on my desktop, and navigate to the Chapter 05 folder. You'll find two files with the .zip extension there, Chapter 05 Begin Project.zip and Chapter 05 End Project.zip. Select the Begin Project file, and then when you come back to the Import Flex Project dialog box, click Finish to import the project. Then go to the Flex Navigator view and open the project, go to the source folder, and open the file using html.mxml, which you'll see is an empty Flex application. Notice that the windowed application tag in this application doesn't have a layout property. In AIR applications, as with all Flex applications, the layout property defaults to a value of vertical, meaning that objects will stack vertically as we place them in the application. To get started in the application, add an application control bar container and set its dock property to true. The application control bar is a special container that glues controls to the top of the application, and it's a great place to put controls with which the user will interact. Now below the application control bar, add an HTML component. Give it an ID of Web. Set its height to 100% and its width also to 100%. The result will be that the HTML component, that is, the web browser component, takes up all available space in the application. Now go to the application control bar and add three components. First, a label. Set the text property of the label to Enter URL. Then add a text input control. Set its ID property to URL input. And finally, a button. Give the button a label of Go and a click event handler that executes a bit of ActionScript code that sets the location of the HTML component, that is the web browser, to the URL that's entered by the user. This can be done with a single line of ActionScript code, so I'll do it with inline code rather than creating a separate function. The code looks like this: web.location equals URL input.text. That's it. You've just built a complete working web browser application. Save and run the application. You'll see that the three controls, the label, the text input, and the button, appear in the top application control bar. The center white area of the application is the web browser component, which defaults to a background color of white. Click into the text input control and expand the size of the window so that you can see as much of the resulting web page as possible. Then type in a complete URL, starting with http:// and then type in any web address. I'll type in www.adobe.com. Then click the Go button, and you should see, if you have internet access, that the web page you requested is loaded into the browser component. You should see that the browser is able to handle very complex presentations, including cascading style sheets, any JavaScript code, and of course Flash-based presentations, such as the Flash video that's currently playing on my screen. To see a more complex example, switch to maps.google.com. One important note about entering the URL: you must enter the entire URL, including the http:// prefix. This browser component, unlike Internet Explorer or Firefox, does not know how to notice that there's a missing prefix and add it for you. Once again, click the Go button, and you should see a fairly complex application, Google Maps, appear. Type in any address. For instance, I'll type in the old headquarters of Macromedia, 601 Townsend Street, San Francisco. Then I'll click Search Maps, and you should see that the map is loaded correctly. Close the application, and now we'll add a couple more tools. Place your cursor after the button, still within the application control bar container. Add a spacer control, and set its width to 100%. A spacer control is an invisible control that pushes other objects around the screen. By setting its width to 100%, it will take up all available space within the application control bar, and any controls we declare after the spacer will be pushed all the way to the right. Now we're going to add back and forward buttons, just like a real browser. Add another button component, set its label to back, and add a click event listener, and in the click event listener, call web.historyback. The historyback function is very similar to a JavaScript command called history.back. It moves the browser back one step in its history. Right after the back button, add another button with the label of forward. Add a click event listener, and when the click event for this button occurs, call the web component's history forward method. Save your changes, and once again run the application. You should now see that the controls in the application control bar at the top of the application include the label, the text input, and the Go button, and over on the right, the back and forward buttons. Click into the text input control and type in a complete URL to some website. Once again, I'll start at www.adobe.com. Click Go, and you should see the first site appear. Next, type in another site. I'll change www.adobe.com to www.lynda.com. Once again, click Go, and you should see that site appear. Now, try clicking the back button, and you should go back to the first site, and click the forward button, and you should go forward to the second site. So that's a look at the basic features of the HTML component. There's a lot more you can do with this component, including calling JavaScript code from your ActionScript code, and that's what I'm going to show you in the next video.